We're going to look at a couple different things in lesson 96, but just a refresher, when we see the phrase varies directly as, we know our proportions, say our variables are A and B, apples and bananas. A1 over A2 equals B1 over B2. That's varied directly as. If it was varied inversely, that would be A1 over A2 equals B2 over B1. So we flip the right side of the proportion. Now we're going to look at one more where it says varies jointly as. And all that's going to do is add a third variable. So A1 over A2 equals B1 over B2 times C1 over C2. So this is varied jointly as. But it may say the number of apples varied directly as the number of bananas, but inversely as the number of, I don't know, a fruit that start with C. So I'll say Cheetos, okay? But inversely as the number of Cheetos. So if it's inverse, you just flip that fraction. That's all you do. So let's look at one example. It says the number of girls varied inversely as the number of boys and directly as the number of teachers. So let's set this up as an equation real quick. So the number of girls, all right, that's our main variable, okay? It says that varied inversely or directly as the others. But it says inversely as the number of boys. So that's going to be written as B2 over B1, and then directly as the number of teachers. So that's going to be T1 over T2. So you simply follow. Number of girls varied inversely as the number of boys, so we flipped them, and directly as the number of teachers. So you just kind of follow along. Sorry, my thing's in the glare. Here, I'll move all this over. All right, there we go. And now we're simply going to plug in. So we're good all the way to there. So now we're at this point. So it says when there were 50 girls. So that we're talking about G1. So when there were 50 girls, there were 20 teachers. So find T1. There were 20 teachers and 10 boys. So you got to be careful to make sure this is plugged in for B1. Remember, it's inversely. So now we've done this sentence. How many boys, so we're going to be looking for B2, were there when there were 10 girls, all right, so there's G2, and 100 teachers. So now we have all of our numbers, we have one variable, and we can solve. I'm going to reduce 50 over 10 to 5. 10 times 100 becomes 1,000. Okay, we need to multiply the 1,000 to cancel. So 5 times 1,000. Okay, so we get 5,000 equals 20 times number of boys, divide by 20, divide by 20, and we would end up getting 250. So B2 equals 250. So that's how you do varied jointly as. Just be able to flip the fraction if it says varied inversely as, and you keep it the same if it's directly. Now we're going to look at one more concept on this lesson. Continuing lesson 96, we're going to look at example 3, just expansion of what we kind of did in the last lesson, actually, on nonlinear system of equations. We want to do the same thing. Let's go ahead and get x by itself in the bottom so we can do substitution. So x times y equals 6, divide by y, so x equals 6 over y. X equals 6 over y. So we plug that in up here. So 6 over y minus 2y equals 3. I'm going to erase kind of these steps here as I go to clean the board. Multiply by least common multiple, which would be y. That's the only thing in the denominator. That gives us 6. Those cross out. Minus 2y squared equals 3y. We know we're going to have to factor because we have two different variables, y squared and a y. Add 2y squared, subtract 6, so we get 2y squared plus 3y equals, minus 6. All that equals 0. So now we're at this point. Now, you look and see, is there anything that can factor that multiplies to be negative 6, but adds up to be positive 3, but also, multiplies to be 2? I know we haven't talked about what happens when we have something there yet, but short answer is no. So if there's not anything that can factor, then you got to use the quadratic formula. Now notice I'm writing a y here. Normally we say x equals negative b, yada, yada, yada. Well, we're actually solving for y. So therefore I'm going to put y there, otherwise I'm going to forget and be confused and whatnot of what I'm solving for. So a is 2, b is 3, c is negative 6. So this b would become a 3. 3 squared would become a 9. A is 2, C is negative 6. This A is 2, so 2 times 2, 4. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 6, positive 48. So when we solve, okay, I'm going to write these answers over here. Make sure it's not in the glare. That's in the glare. Okay, move over there. Actually, I'm probably going to need more space than that because these answers are going to be special. I'm going to write my answers down here. So for y, we don't know x, but we know y is negative 3 plus radical 57 when I add those two together over 4, or y is negative 3 minus radical 57 over 4. These are my answers for y, because plus or minus. So now I need to solve for x. So if I'm solving for x, what I want to do is go ahead and get x by itself up here. So I'm going to add the 2y, so that gives me x plus 2y, or sorry, it does not give me that. It gives me x equals 2y plus 3. So now I got x by itself, and we can plug in for y. So that looks like x equals 2 times negative 3 plus radical 57 over 4. And if I want to, I can write it like this to make sure I can understand those as separate. And then plus 3. And then now we solve. The solving won't take long. 2 times negative 3/4, okay? 2 times negative 3/4 would be negative 6 over 4. And that would reduce to negative 3 over 2. So x equals negative 3 over 2 plus 2 radical 57 over 4 plus 3. So now let's look at a couple of things here. The 2 and the 4 can simplify. That can be a 1 over 2. Boom. Now we got to add the 3. Got to add like terms. So negative 3/2 plus 3. Put that over 1. All right, multiply by 2. So this would become 6 over 2. Negative 3 plus 6. That would be positive 3 over 2. So my answer for when y is negative 3 plus radical 57 over 4, x would be positive 3/2, okay, when we add those together, plus radical 57 over 2. Woof. Okay, that's a doozy. Now we got to find the x for the other one. Now we got to find it for here. The only thing that changes is this is a negative. So when we multiply, okay, we already know that this is going to be negative 3 over 2. We just did that. The only thing that changes really is this is going to be negative 2 radical 57 over 4, and then plus 3. Well, we already know what's going to happen. This reduces to 1 over 2. We've been here before. When we add negative 3 halves plus 3, we know that that is positive 3 halves. So that is your answers for x there. So yeah, that's a lot, but that would be your answer. So that is the end of lesson 96. I'm glad I never hit the stop button because that was a long video.